All right, guys, welcome to another podcast, solo podcast, where I share with you thoughts, imaginations, dreams that I've had, and perhaps comments and learnings that I receive from you, my viewers as well. Because certainly a lot of things, I always say this to people, like we perpetrate and we tell people we're expert, we talk like this, we walk like this, and we know everything about real estate or life in general. But tons and tons of times we learn from you guys. And I want to talk today about something very specific, and it's about or around the topic of failure, okay? So hang around with me. I think there's something for you to learn from this. Welcome again, all right? All right, guys, look, thank you. Thank you for everybody being here. All right, okay. All right, guys, listen. If you're a kid of the 90s or the early 2000s, perhaps even before the 80s, and you were perhaps coming into your teens or entering the business world, then you've probably heard the mantra. This was talked about a lot, which was, there is no failure, fail fast, fail forward, learn from your mistakes, move forward. Those who are not making any mistakes are not doing anything, so on and so forth, and on and on and on and on. Look, that's been the executive management mantra for the last 10, 20, 30 years, perhaps, or ever since I was growing up or I entered the business so-called world. I've been hearing this. But it's starting to make more sense to me now at this age, this bright young age that I'm at, right? And what do I want to bring this? I was talking about this with my team today. A lot of times when we're making life decisions or business decisions, and bear in mind that if there's one side where you're thinking through, doing pros and cons, and doing analysis, and then making a decision, bear in mind that there is nothing wrong with you going through the process of evaluating and trying your best to come up with the right decision. On the other side, in the business world, and I've got to share this experience with you guys, is you've got to take it a little bit lighter, a little bit easier, and recognize that mistakes can get made and you learn lessons. Sometimes they're expensive, but you learn from them and you move forward, okay? Because on this side, if you do a lot of pros and cons and analysis, and if on the risk, the flip side or the opportunity cost of doing something seems immeasurably high, which allows you not to pursue or even try that thing because the side effect or the con of that is so high, the risk is so high, guess what? You're going to get paralyzed by analysis. You're never going to do anything because it just seems so ridiculously difficult if you fail, right? Now I'm going to try to bring you to the flip side, which is if you do fail, so what, right? My wife has this adage and she says this to me, Fahd, for you, it's always so what? Like, it's even if somebody dies, you say, so what? Like, well, I don't say it like, so what in that way. Yeah, okay. If I hear the news of somebody passing away, I can be somber. But as a Muslim, we're taught to say, Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un, which is from Allah, we have come, from God, we've come, and to Him we have returned. That's the basic guidelines of our religion of Islam, which is, it gives us peace and serenity because we recognize that we have come from Allah and to Him we have returned. To the effect, I want to share a story with you guys, which is from the time of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. There was one of his companions who had a son who was very, very ill, right? And this is a story for you and it's a story for me as well. And the child was suffering a lot in pain, to the extent that obviously parents, any of you who are parents out there, if you've seen a child suffer, especially if it's your own child, then you are going to be equally almost in pain, right? So which is true, the parents would have been in pain. So they were day in, day out checking in on the son. And one day he comes back home and he sees his son. No, he doesn't see his son. So he asks his spouse, like, what is the situation? Like, how is he doing? And she tells him that he's at rest and in peace, okay? Until they do what they got to do at night, they spend a peaceful night, and until the morning, when he's in a different mood or some time has passed, he asks her, like, tell us about the son. And she asks him, like, instead of telling him the situation with the son, she asks him a question. She asks, like, if somebody gives you something and then they take it back, would you be angry at that person? And he says, no, of course, if somebody gave us something and then they took it back, we'll be okay because they gave it to us in the first place. It was their amana, we say in Arabic or in Islam. It was their thing to be kept safe with us, and they took it back, so it's fine. So then her wife proceeded to tell him that their son had passed away the previous night, and God, who had given them the son, he took it back. Anyways, the story goes on to them having more sons and so on and so forth. Now, obviously, if you can practice patience in that time of turmoil where you're experiencing somebody passing away in your close family, that is a level of excellence that we strive for. We want to reach there, which is why we say, from God we have come and to him we have returned. And which is why my wife says, like, you know what, you're not phased out even if somebody dies. I'm not saying that I'm not, but I try to develop myself to a stage where we are in good consciousness, staying in a good state of mind. Okay, that was a side story. But now I'm coming back to failing fast in business. As entrepreneurs, agents, or as investors, you're going to be going through some situations where you might be very scared of investing. You might be very scared of, should I take this step? Should I not take this step? And I want you to actually become fearless. And I'll explain to you why. If you are a student of business, and I hope you are, or if you've read business books, or if you've watched other people doing business, then you will know that big businesses, small businesses, all kinds of businesses end up sometimes making mistakes, okay? There is no business out there that's never made any mistake whatsoever. No matter the amount of trying and testing and error and feedback and surveys, there are businesses out there that have released bad products which failed, which they pulled off the market, and there are businesses that released those great products, right? So if you don't know this story, you should know this story about the 3M Post-it notes. That 3M Post-it notes came from a scientist in the 3M lab tinkering with a special compound glue which he formulated using some chemical formulate together, which actually, if you really think about, a glue is meant to make things stick, okay? Like this, yeah? So these should be inseparable. If I by the way, these are my 2 books. If you want to buy them, you can buy them on Amazon. This one I wrote in 2016. This one is the more latest one, okay? They both read like very good stories. So coming back to the 3M story, if you were to make a glue, ideally speaking, if you stick something together, it shouldn't come apart, right? Now, here was this guy who, if I can show you a 3M note, right? These sticky notes that you get, right? Here was a guy who produced a compound glue that wouldn't make anything really, really stick. It would stick and it would come off very easily, right? So obviously, in an immediate scheme of things, it seems that there is no direct application for that, right? But from that came the great sticky notes, which today, like, you can buy them anywhere, but they're very useful. Like, even in an office environment, perhaps, which is paperless. We're not paperless today, but even in an office environment that's trying to go paperless, I think sticky notes might still be relevant, perhaps for a couple of more years, okay? Coming back to the situation, I want you to think about other businesses that might have failed fast, or might have even made mistakes, and those mistakes might have cost them, right? 2 examples come to my mind. One is of American Airlines. I wasn't born around. I wasn't there at that time, but I've heard about this. In 1970 or 1980, they released a promotion. They said pay $150,000 upfront, and you can fly first class anywhere in the world with a friend. Mark Cuban, who's a billionaire owner of the Mavericks, I think, basketball team, he was one of those people who actually bought those $150,000 worldwide lifelong pass for himself and a friend to fly first class anywhere in the world. And I think they sold maybe a few hundred or something, but the airline soon realized it was a big mistake. It was going to cost them too much to actually fulfill. They actually still fulfill their, I think they still fulfill their commitments, but they learned very quickly that it was going to be very costly. Now, I'm actually giving you an example. The Post-it note story turned out into something that was really a failure, or kind of like not sticky note, turned up to be something really nice, right? On the other flip side, is this airline that released, you could buy a ticket lifelong for you and a friend for $150,000, and now they were basically stuck in this deal, and they canceled it at some stage. They stopped selling, but it cost them a lot of money to fulfill this. So be it. So what? Businesses make mistakes and they move on. Okay. There's another example of I don't remember this to the exact precise details, but apparently when the local transport authority in Dubai released their first original, I think we called them yellow taxis. Nobody really used them in 1995, 96. But I think they made a deal with Mercedes. You might not know this, but originally it was Toyota Camrys and Mercedes that were the original yellow taxis in Dubai. Today you see all kinds of cars, right? They made a deal with Mercedes that they would run the cars for 2 or 3 years, and then Mercedes would buy those cars back from them, right? They would just buy the cars back. Sounds like a good deal, like a great deal, but not a very good deal for Mercedes. Why? Because buying those cars back was going to cost them a lot of money. Anyways, guys, listen, the point I'm trying to make is you make mistakes, and that's okay. In business specifically, now you might be in a position where you're just starting out. If you're starting out, you might be like, oh my God, if I make this mistake, it'll cost me a lot of money and it's going to chill, relax. You're not going to go through growing your business into this great big conglomerate or empire that you perhaps dream about without making mistakes. Don't worry. Faster you make them, faster you'll grow. You won't die. If you're willing to be determined to stay in business and keep going, you will be okay. Or you could be a medium-sized company. You could be about 100 employees or more. You could be 1,000. You could be 4,000 employees. I'm not advocating make mistakes that put the entire company at bankruptcy risk and you're closed and down. And even in that scenario, in the larger, grander, global scheme of things, you might still be able to reinvent and grow into something else. I'm not advocating that. But look, don't be scared of trying something that you think can work. And the only thing stopping you is fear of, oh my God, what if it doesn't work? The cost would be too high. So what? What if it does work, right? What if it doesn't work, but you're prepared for the next bigger deal of your life? Coming back to the Dubai real estate market as an agent or an advisor who's starting out or who's been in the business for a while, or an investor who's coming into the market. Guys, listen. Do all the analysis necessary, do all the pros and cons, use expert advisors like myself and my team. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to be in a position to pull the trigger and say, look, I'm going to go forward, go forward, go forward. If it doesn't turn out well, it's okay. It's going to be all right. All right, guys, listen, we're going to be in Riyadh this week. Come and see us. There's a link. You can actually register for the seminar. Don't forget, you can get actually ebooks of both of these. They're, I think, $8. You can actually get the actual books from Amazon. They read very well. The first one I wrote in 2016. I personally, you will find more of my story, perhaps. This one is quite comprehensive and it's very thin. It's very easy to read. It's maybe about 150 pages, but it's the ultimate guide to Dubai real estate. I would say definitely get it. Give me a review. Give me your feedback. I'd love to actually include it in the next one that I write for you guys. If you're looking to purchase a property, don't forget there is a link below. You can always click it, fill up the form. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe, and bell icon. And obviously, you can ask us a question in the comment section, and I'd be very happy to answer. All right, guys. Looking forward to the next time we meet. Ciao for now.